Emily, Sheriff Xian wants to talk to you and the Traveler about our plans for the Night Watch.
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that...
Oh, it's not...
was...
You seem very preoccupied with
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. Oh, are we interrupting something? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here anyway. I've just been thinking. If Kyria has the capacity to commit murder while we're... There was just a single... When I accompanied Sylvain, maybe Kyria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to So did he attack?
Based on what we've heard...
Losing his sister, all those... Whenever I get to thinking like that, I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong. In all my years of cleaning up crimes, some of them surround your... So while you do Sylvain and answering those questions, I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. When someone dies, a certain amount of information can be inferred from the traces left behind at the scene. But generally speaking, death will just leave most questions unanswered, and the whole picture ever incomplete.
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to think about things that way. For someone...
You're right, but that all... I understand...
Huh.
Emilie, Traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here too?
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out and about like this?
A little exercise never hurt anyone. Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru. So I'd like to take care of my plants while I still can.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these flowers, and this is my last chance to say goodbye. Come tomorrow. I'll be happy to entrust their care to you. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here for a more important reason.
The Night Watch! You mentioned earlier that we still need to confirm our plans.
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone standing guard next to Sylvain's room. Exactly. After some discussion, Emilie's expertise is sure to come in handy.
Sounds perfect.
Not a peep. Has Kyria given up on his revenge? Guess we'll have to keep at it. Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kyria's true motive was simply... No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crime, there must be something we're missing. Something extremely important.
Maybe we just need to calm down. You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like looking at the flowers. Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers. Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
It was the older of the merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor guy was murdered in cold blood.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucian, and now this.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please, no loitering.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy. What is going on?
Do you think it could be the work of an evil spirit? I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kyria already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps he doesn't consider your crime to be worthy of death.
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emily. I never did thank you for that, did I?
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was also in the vicinity. He would have been able to help.
Is that so? I suppose I'm a very fortunate person then. I have exceptional students, caring friends, and the respect of my peers. If it is indeed my time to go, then I'll die without regrets. But Kyria has nothing. It really makes you wonder if there's even a reason to keep on living.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kyria himself, once we finally catch him.
Well, I hope it all goes well. Emily, there's something else I'd like to ask of you. With everything that's happened, holding the exhibition is off the table now. But so many flowers were transported here for the show, some of them thousands of miles away from their homeland. I can't let them wither away with no one to care for them. Whether Kyria gets to me first, or I'm sent back to Fontaine to stand trial, I won't be around to look after them. I know it's a lot to ask, but could I entrust them to your care?
Of course, Master.
Really? Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Now I truly have nothing to worry about.
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me, so I've gotta go.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can be quite impatient.
I'm sorry, Master.
Dá até pra raspar o saco de 6 meses e eu vou te mostrar o porquê que com a barba Efraim é impossível você tomar aqueles beliscões ou aqueles cortes indesejáveis na hora que você tá raspando as partes mais sensíveis do corpo.
Another all-nighter. I'm not sure how Emily's plan will go well. Oh, but Collie still looks quite worried. Let's go tackle her. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone now, too, but I have to admit, I'm not really sure. After listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together and arranging personnel. I barely had a second to spare last night. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was committed that night.
The key clue was right in front of us. Let's go. We'll show you where the culprit hid a goose.
So.
I only have a basic idea of what happened.
So.
Another all-nighter. Emily still isn't back. Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone now, too. But after listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together and arranging personnel. To be honest, I'm still not sure.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time! Let's go! We'll show you where the culprit hid a goose. I only have a basic idea of what happened.
So, you're...
Wasn't this incense originally in Lucien's room? It must have been moved here before nightfall yesterday. Wasn't this incense originally in Lucien's room? This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue, right?
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as...
A flower that only blooms at night. Like the Neelatpala lotus.
Exactly. Although the Neelatpala lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. When it's closed, the gaps between the petals are too large. That's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start by preparing an agouti sample.
If applied to the outside, if poured into the flower, there's a sticky substance on the... If you stick the petals together with...
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime condensate to... That way, the agouti would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the petals and evaporate into the air. This also allowed the culprit to plant... However, The diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night. So by
And Kyria could execute his revenge without having to step foot inside the room during the night.
the next morning, the sample of a goose would have nearly fully evaporated. The glaze lily would—
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of a goose is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside a flower is enough to kill a grown man? And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of the stuff?
That's because a goose is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago. The level of toxicity has never changed. Only a small subset of people are truly at risk.
Ah, you mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy. So that can't be right. They were involved in the operation all those years ago. If the stuff gave them a bad reaction, they would have known from the very start.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more like they're susceptible to its effects. But that distinction isn't important right now. You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but that Kyria found a way to ensure that they would be.
In Fontaine, I experienced...
The glaze lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue, right?
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emilie, you're back!
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah, like the Neelitpala lotus.
Exactly. Although the Neelitpala lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. When it's closed, the gaps between the petals are too large. That's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start by preparing an agouti sample.
If applied to the That doesn't sound...
The glaze lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower from Liyue.
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emilie, you're back!
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah, like the Neelitpala lotus.
Exactly. Although the Neelitpala lotus, that's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start by preparing an agouti sample.
If applied to the outside, you would still be able to smell a goose even in the daytime. If applied to the outside... If applied to the... If applied to the...
The glaze lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a flower.
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emilie, you're back!
Exactly as...
A flower that only blooms...
Exactly. That's why Kyria chose the...
If poured into... There's a sticky... That doesn't sound right. If poured into the flower pot, that doesn't sound...
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime That way, the agouti would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between the petals and evaporate into the air. This also allowed the culprit to plant the poison. However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night. So by nightfall, the flower would bloom, thereby forcing the target to inhale,
And Kyria could execute his revenge without having to step foot inside the room.
By the next morning, the sample of Auguste would have nearly fully evaporated. The glaze lily would have already closed its petals, and any lingering odor would be concealed by the fragrance of the other flowers in the room.
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of Auguste is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside a flower is enough to kill a grown man? And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of the stuff?
That's because Auguste is just...
Ah, you mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy. So it's just some sort of happy coincidence that Sylvain and Lucien are allergic to the stuff? That can't be right. They were involved in the operation all those years ago. If the stuff gave them a bad reaction, they would have known from the very start.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more like they're susceptible to its effects. But that distinction isn't important right now. You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but that Kyria found a way to ensure that they would be.
In Fontaine, I experienced how drinking primordial seawater made me more attuned with the element of hydro. But that substance would be hard. In Fontaine, that doesn't sound right. All kinds of that doesn't sound right. The incense I smelled earlier seemed... In Sumeru, scholars...
Alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago. All of those are substances that can heighten your sensitivity to elemental energy.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Ah, yes. I definitely remember that.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't...
Flowers are pretty important to this plan, huh? The glaze lily is native to Liyue. It would be completely unnatural to have one here in Sumeru.
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the Mora Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was supposed to set him free. But in the end, it was just a tool for his revenge.
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. Every step you take leaves a mark. But up until this point, we haven't been able, but because he's been disguised as someone else this entire time.
Creating such an intricate mech, it all points to... Kyria and Edgar?
But Kyria was only in his teens back. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he changed his appearance, going that long without giving anything away, it would be impossible.
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was giving... But before we could even react, do you think Kyria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about...
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail. I don't see how he could have moved that fast.
It would seem Master decided to tap...
What? But that's so dangerous with the condition.
But why?
No. If his aim was to target everyone who had a hand in Yelena's death...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer, but to confirm the truth about why Yelena chose to die...
Then there's still one target left.
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
Ghost! It's a ghost!
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath. Can you tell us what you saw?
I saw a black shadow. It ran right past me. How could something like that happen in broad daylight?
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from here. I would say he passed by this location not too long ago. It's this way. Please, follow me.
Skyward! Scatter!
The scent is getting stronger. This...
Oh! Are you all right? Were you
No.
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, it's hard to breathe. This feels...
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase, combined with the impact of the environment. A bit of rest would do you some good.
I can't rest. Mr. Ed, he's a good man. I can't just abandon him to die by Curia's hand.
Oz, you need to calm down and listen to me. Edgar is the one we're after. He and Kiria are the same person.
But how is that possible? I thought you said Kiria was in his... Mr. Edgar is 70-something. Changing your appearance to look decades older... That doesn't seem possible.
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures to age himself. Kiria used a delusion to...
No.
And what if the I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kiria killed the real Edgar Infantine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kiria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body, studying perfumery, and planning the real Edgar's demise. The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. And Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard, don a pair of glasses, make a few minor alterations to his appearance, and everyone would believe he was exactly who he claimed. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skills. It would have been a gradual process, one that ensured no one around him would notice anything unusual.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized that he aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish his revenge. Is that even...
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that kind of person. He can't be.
What you really need is to get out of here and rest.
No, I can keep going.
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how slight, should not be treated lightly. I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. Please come with me and rest. I'm sure Kyria... No, Edgar wouldn't want any more innocent people implicated in all this.
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our brief exposure to a goose, it would seem the substance has little effect on us. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more resistant to the effects of abnormal elemental energy. In other words, this environment doesn't pose as much of a risk to us. Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold likely has multiple points of entry. If the target were to escape from a different point, I hate to...
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done. Ooze, head back to Port Ormos and start gathering reinforcements.
Got it.
Traveler, Emilie, Paimon, please be careful. For someone whose only purpose in life is revenge, there's no telling what they'll do when there's no reason to move forward.
Don't worry. This isn't the end. Not for us or for Kyria. We're not going to let a goose kill anyone else. It's time for the mythos to fade into obscurity. Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy. I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. I can't believe a single person did all this. Must have taken a lot of time.
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a delusion comes at a cost. Not just time, but the time you have left to live.
But why would Kyria need this many Auguste flowers? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste to carry out his plan, right?
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only emotion fueling his obsession with Auguste. Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers transported to Sumeru to wither away in a foreign land. But Kyria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the guise of someone else. For someone with nowhere to call home, perhaps dying among a bed of Auguste flowers just like his sister is the best homecoming he could ask for. that destroys seeds. Huh. Quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is...
Did they catch up that... No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those years ago in Fontaine. Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but I always understood. The reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, it was all because of me. I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. The flowers were gone. And so were you. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have come looking for you earlier. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Please! Yelena!
Emilie? I'm alive. No, that's not possible. I saw her. Elena, we were together.
That was an illusion.
No, the amount of August I drank, it should have been enough. A fake? But how?
We started making the preparations last night with one goal in mind: to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedarwood, rounded out with a base note of agarwood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind.
Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed. Miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emilie?
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me about Sylvain's death.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the easiest way to get you to let down your guard.
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the bottles, there's no way you could have made an accord. If Auguste was so easy to replicate, Yelena wouldn't have.
It was a combination of, but recently,
Rainbow Rose.
Auguste was creating perfumery techniques. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost.
The past.
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste, you believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was entirely your obsession with Auguste.
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, so, since you've been preparing your accord since last night, that means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel.
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation, or continued to use your spirit borneal and Auguste combination.
Who knows? Maybe I would have just offed myself then and there.
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise and the secrets of this. Sylvain only inhaled a small amount of poison. All the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law for everyone to see.
Is that so? Well, I suppose.
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify. I did what I set out to do. I may have lost in the end, but it was my choice every step of the way. And if I could do it all over again... But there's no going back, is there?
Careful, everyone. This environment is dangerous.
Stick close.
Looks like
Of course, Master.
the combination...
The scent of a so, as I...
You're saying Yelena designed Auguste to have the scent?
Rainbow roses, but if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically carries the unique features of those 3 scents, you can bypass that issue entirely. It goes without saying that for that time, this idea was a stroke of genius.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those really do seem like flowers you would choose, Yelena.